The moment little Emma tugged on her father's sleeve and whispered those words, the entire restaurant fell silent. "Daddy, can we keep her?" The 5-year-old's innocent question hung in the air as her father, Marcus Chen, CEO of Chen Industries and one of the city's most eligible bachelors, stared at the young waitress who had just saved his daughter's life. Marcus had never believed in fate until that Tuesday evening. His mother had set him up on yet another blind date, this time with Victoria Ashworth, a socialite whose designer handbag probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. They'd agreed to meet at Rosewood Bistro, an upscale restaurant where Marcus hoped the ambient noise would drown out whatever boring conversation awaited him. What he hadn't planned on was bringing Emma. His daughter's nanny had called in sick, and his mother had insisted he not cancel. "You're 36 years old, Marcus. Emma needs a mother," she'd said with that tone that brokered no argument. So there he sat, Emma coloring quietly beside him in her booster seat, when Victoria arrived 20 minutes late, trailing perfume and entitlement. She'd barely glanced at Emma before launching into a monologue about her recent trip to the Maldives. "And I told the resort manager, if I wanted a garden view, I would have booked a garden view, you know." Victoria laughed, checking her reflection in her compact mirror. Marcus nodded politely, but his attention kept drifting to Emma, who'd abandoned her crayons and was watching their waitress with wide, curious eyes. The waitress was young, maybe mid-20s, with tired eyes that still managed to sparkle when she smiled. Her name tag read, Sophie. Unlike the other servers gliding between tables with practiced efficiency, Sophie moved with a slight limp, favoring her left leg. But what struck Marcus most was how she knelt down to Emma's level when taking their order, asking the little girl about her drawing with genuine interest. "That's a beautiful rainbow," Sophie had said softly. "Is that your family?" Emma had nodded enthusiastically. "That's me and Daddy. We're waiting for someone special to fill the other spot." Sophie's smile had faltered for just a moment, something sad flickering across her face, before she'd squeezed Emma's hand gently. "I'm sure you'll find them." Now, as Victoria droned on about the incompetence of hired help, Marcus watched Sophie navigate the crowded restaurant. She was carrying a tray loaded with dishes when it happened. A businessman at the adjacent table stood abruptly, his chair slamming into Sophie's injured leg. The tray tilted. Everything seemed to move in slow motion as Sophie stumbled, the dishes sliding toward Emma's direction. Without hesitation, Sophie lunged forward, twisting her body to catch the scalding hot plates against her own chest and arms, gasping in pain but keeping them away from Emma. The crash was deafening. Porcelain shattered. Hot soup splashed across Sophie's uniform. She'd fallen to her knees, trembling, but Emma was completely safe. Marcus was on his feet instantly. Emma scooped into his arms. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" Emma nodded, but she was crying, not from fear, but concern. "Daddy, she's hurt. Sophie's hurt because of me." Victoria had already grabbed her purse. "I'm not staying for this circus. Call me when you learn to manage your schedule properly, Marcus." She left without a backward glance. Marcus barely noticed. He was watching the manager rush over, red-faced and angry. "Sophie, this is the second accident this month. I'm sorry, but I have to let you go." "Please," Sophie whispered, still on her knees, her arms bright red from the heat. "Please, Mr. Harrison, I need this job. My little brother's medical bills. You're a liability," the manager snapped. "Collect your things." Something in Marcus broke. He'd built an empire on reading people, on seeing potential where others saw risk. In Sophie's eyes, beneath the pain and desperation, he saw something he recognized from his own mother's eyes years ago, when she'd worked 3 jobs to put him through college. Pure, unfiltered determination. And more than that, the kind of selfless courage that couldn't be taught. "She's hired," Marcus heard himself say. Everyone turned to stare at him. "Excuse me." The manager's face went from red to purple. Marcus set Emma down gently and approached Sophie, extending his hand to help her up. She took it hesitantly, confusion written across her features. "I'm Marcus Chen. I'm looking for a nanny for Emma, and I just watched you risk serious injury to protect a child you don't even know. You're exactly who I need on my team." He turned to the manager. "I'll compensate the restaurant for any damages, of course." The manager recognized him then, his demeanor shifting instantly. "Mr. Chen, I had no idea. Of course, no compensation necessary." We're honored you chose our establishment. But Marcus wasn't listening. He was looking at Sophie, who'd started crying silently, tears mixing with the soup stains on her cheeks. I don't understand, she whispered. You don't know anything about me. I know you put a stranger's child before yourself without thinking twice. I know you're working through obvious pain without complaint. And I know my daughter has been matching people to that empty spot in her rainbow all year, and she hasn't stopped looking at you since you walked over to our table. Marcus smiled. What do you say? The job includes health insurance, full coverage for dependents. Sophie's hand flew to her mouth. My brother, he has leukemia. The treatments will be covered, Marcus finished firmly. If you want the job, it's yours. That's when Emma tugged on his sleeve and asked the question that would change everything. Daddy, can we keep her? The innocence of it, the hope, made everyone in earshot smile, even Sophie through her tears. Emma, Marcus said gently, Sophie is a person, not a puppy. We don't keep people. But can she stay with us? Emma insisted. Please, she makes me feel safe. Sophie knelt down again, ignoring her injuries, and took Emma's small hands. If your daddy gives me the job, I promise I'll keep you safe always. 3 months later, Marcus would realize that blind date had been fate after all, just not in the way his mother had planned. Sophie wasn't just an exceptional nanny, she'd become the heart of their home. Emma thrived under her care, and Sophie's brother was responding well to treatment, his medical bills no longer a crushing weight. And Marcus, he'd discovered that the most valuable things in life couldn't be found in boardrooms or on blind dates with people who saw children as inconveniences. They were found in quiet moments, Sophie helping Emma with homework at the kitchen table, her laugh finally reaching her eyes. In small gestures of kindness that rippled outward, changing everything. The empty spot in Emma's rainbow had been filled, not with the polished perfection society expected, but with something far more precious. Genuine love, earned through sacrifice and sealed with an innocent question that had given them all a second chance at family. Sometimes the best investments aren't measured in dollars. Sometimes they're measured in courage, compassion, and the wisdom to recognize true worth when it falls, quite literally, right in front of you.